Fusion World community, welcome back to another video with Kyle Chris, and today we're going to continue the State of the Meta series, and we're going to be going over blue, and what you can kind of expect from blue, at least for the next maybe month or so. So we do have a few events. You might have some store tournaments as well. I think most of the Ultimate Battle events might be over by now. There might be still a few more, so this is a good take on what we can expect from blue. So as always, if you guys do like the content, make sure you guys like and subscribe to the channel. I do appreciate all of the support. And as we sort of ramp back up into content creator mode, I'm starting to enjoy it a little bit more. Didn't enjoy it there for a while, right? I was doing a lot of content, so I'm kind of glad to be back and enjoying it a little bit more. So the 4 leaders we currently have, there we go. We have Vegeta, Trunks, Goku Black, and Zamasu. Now, blue has been, I would say, the worst color set 1. Right? It was awful. It just didn't seem like it had enough to do. And then set 2 came around, and blue did receive a lot more support. But the big thing with blue is that it really started to come to life by being sort of this anti-Topku color. When I say anti-Topku, I don't think any blue techs, maybe 1 or 2, actually won events over Topku. If I'm not mistaken, I think it was maybe 1 or 2. Topku obviously ran the format. But what blue was able to do, blue was actually able to compete against Topku in a lot of different cases, which made it very viable. Having very good removal tools, and just also being able to sustain big hands, and also swinging really big with leader swings, made blue sort of a good contender for that particular format. Now that we're out of that format, where does blue stack up? And that's what we're going to go over in each leader individually, starting with Goku Black. Probably my favorite blue leader, I'll be honest. I'm a big fan of the crit leaders now. This leader really focuses heavily on playing out Goku Blacks for cheaper, right? Obviously, the big one, as we know of, is going to be the 6-drop. And this is sort of where you get a lot of the value from, obviously, being able to play a 6 energy card for 4 energy by reducing its cost by 2, of course. Then obviously all the other cards you can play in the deck, all the 4 cost 2, all the 3 cost 1, as you go on from there. But it's not it doesn't seem to be doing as well as I would have. I would have thought. I think as we kind of transition back into a green meta, I think Goku Black would be able to do at least a little bit. The longer the games go, the better it is for Goku Black. Being a crit leader, having the extra draw, now that since you get to go first, I think that is a big thing. I'm going to say that a lot going forward, at least until set 2. That's all very good. Now with red sort of, I want to say taking a back seat, but red definitely taking a big hit. Some of the Zamasus that you have to play out, as you see here on the leader, you have to play out a Zamasu and bottom deck that in order to get the leader effect off. Some of your Zamasus might be able to survive a little bit more. So 6-drop here, this is obviously your big boss monster. You can grab back a 4 less from the drop. And then if you have 7 or fewer cards in hand, you get to play 1 from your hand. Now this is any card, doesn't need to be a Goku Black. This is, I think this card has gained more and more value since it came out. I think this card was like 80 cents. In set 1. I think I definitely think it's gone up. I think maybe it's like $6 or $7 now, maybe. But this card has become a huge piece to Blue's endgame, as they scale, and kind of being sort of more of a control-esque type of card, obviously. So 2 of the big cards you can play, and these are obviously not limited to Goku Blacks, as I said, but these are just 2 other targets. You do have to run a decent amount of Goku Blacks and Zamasus, honestly, in this deck, which might be why people don't play it as much, because you really have to kind of focus on making sure you have both of the pieces of the combo, right? So these 4 drops here are both very good. The 30k bottom makes it 2 or less, and then the 4-drop 25k is actually a promo from the Ultimate Battle, which allows you to return an Earthling card to its owner's hand. This is either you or your opponent, and this does not specify any energy. So like if your opponent has the Gohan Goku secret rare on board, right, you can bounce that back to your opponent's hand. So these are very interesting little pieces of tech that you have, being a 25k, being a 10k combo as well, and being able to remove a piece of battle card on board. I would say that's pretty powerful. You're probably going to play this in You might play this in Goku Black, you might play this in other blue decks, but this card is going to be very, very good, I think, going forward. Hopefully this card doesn't get incredibly power crept, but in this deck, being able to, again, play this card out for 2, technically, just makes it, you know, more valuable to be able to play in the Goku Black deck. Then we have the Zamasu piece. These are just 2 of the Zamasus that I would recommend playing. Obviously, the one is a 10k that bottom decks on one cost, which is very good. There are still a lot of good 1-drops, even though none of them really compare to the Master Roshi, even though that card's gone now. It's still a good card to play, being able to remove a combo piece, but then also just being able to board the Zamasu. Then you have the other Zamasu where if you have a Goku Black battle card, this card can't be KO'd, which is good except for red. Right, so in red matchups, this card's just going to die. But this card searches top 5 for a Goku Black, which then you can grab the 3 cards that I showed before that, as well as some of the other Goku Black targets as well. So just giving you some searching ability, and then being able to bottom deck this to even gain more advantage off of the Goku Black effect. It takes us to Trunks. Trunks seems to be the least favored out of the 4 blue decks. This actually might be favored more than Goku Black, depending on who you talk to. I would say this is the worst out of the 4 decks. When I say worse, the effect actually isn't that bad. Like, bouncing back a 3 or less to your opponent's hand or to your hand is very good, right? Just that, you know, you're paying no energy to bounce back 3 cost worth of card. It's really good, especially in a non-4 of Kefla meta, right? Against blue or against red. Blue's going to be able to, like this deck in particular, obviously can bounce back some of those 3 costs back to their hand, so they don't have the effect of using the Kefla as much. It's good, but it just doesn't seem to have enough yet. I think we're still missing some archetype cards for Trunks, and there are some different ways you can sort of build the Trunks deck. I would say the 2 big ones you're going to be looking at is you're going to be looking at either the cost reduction route, or you're going to be looking at the time machine route. And not particularly just using time machine, but there are a few other cards that they've added in set 2 that allow you to look at the bottom card of your deck, and then if it is a particular card, you can play it out, right? But these are sort of the 2 strategies that you kind of play with Trunks. If you're just going to play just blue good stuff, it's probably better to just play it like something like Vegeta, realistically. So, but both of these strategies are kind of what your vocal point will be for Trunks, at least until we see the remaining of set 3, and if something changes, that Trunks can end up doing with that. So this is one of the 2 drops you actually can play off of, you can actually get back off of the time machine effect. Being able to play at 30k for 2 energy, that also has a 10k combo, is very good. You bottom deck it and you can just replay it out. It's very good. And as you notice, a lot of blue, and particularly in this deck, there's not going to be a lot of cards you're going to play that's going to put cards to the bottom of your deck, like Searchers. A lot of them are just 1-drop cantrips, so sticking that card at the bottom of the deck is going to come back eventually if you're using Time Chamber or some of the other cards you can use to replay it. Trunks also has the ability of abusing Mai, which can take up to 2 life, so you can use this to self-awaken. You also can just use it as a draw on board. Now this is not as good as something like the Bulma for yellow, but it kind of fits that same vein of being just a 1-drop that can consistently grab you cards using an effect in your in your color wave. So the leader can obviously just allow this to be a draw 2 every turn, and if you board more than one of them, you can use more of those effects. And then a big piece, and this card is kind of I won't say controversial, but it's kind of meh, is being able to play the 3-drop Trunks SR, super rare. So this card bounces back a 5 cost. It would be great if it went to the bottom of the deck. This card would be insane. But it bounces back to hand, still getting rid of 5 energy for 3 energy worth of commitment. And you can take a life from off of it. So it's good. This card, again, combining it with the Mai just allows you to draw cards while you're also removing things. It is a 20k, which is probably the problem. I think if it was like a 25k, it would be a little bit better. But that we don't have the choice of of what they make here. So Trunks is probably its biggest strength is abusing things like peel off. But also you have this combination here, which I know has been used quite often in the Trunks decks is the Final Hope Slash and then the Haro combo. So this card allows you to give your leader 10k, and then it also is a 10k combo, or you can Final Hope Slash, gain another 20k, and then bounces back to your hand. You also can use this with Peel Off or any of your other 1-drops as well, which just allows you to consistently just recur the value that you have in your hand, on your board, but add it back to your hand. So you're constantly cycling through these little 1-drop cards that blue has so many of them that are incredibly, all of them are incredibly powerful. That takes us to Zamasu. The 25k of blue, big control deck, found decent success as sort of a top coup counter for the most part. Now Zamasu is going to be kind of a weird deck as it goes forward. So Zamasu actually has a very good matchup into Broly, which most blue decks cannot say that they have good matchups into green decks. But Zamasu being a 25k matches Broly, perfectly. And a lot of the cards in the Zamasu deck are really annoying for green to remove. So 2 of those particular cards are going to be Zamasu and Zamasu Fused. So both of these cards, so Zamasu says cannot be removed by your opponent's skills, which includes KO skills, which sucks for green because you can't really remove it. You have to swing into it, right? But this is allowing them to cycle more cards. And then the Zamasu Fused is a draw that every time it dies, once per turn, it gets played back out. This can also just swing 25k into Broly. So both of these cards combined allow it to play well into Broly. Into other green decks, it's hit or miss, I would say. I'd say it's probably good into most green decks except for Gohan, since Gohan can just add this card to your opponent's energy. But this leader gives a pretty good pivot into something if we do get into an overwhelming green meta, as well as playing well into yellow, and red probably not so much, but more so into yellow and green. The deck does not draw on the backside, but you do have the ability of rejuvenating life for the cost of 1 card from your hand. So this allows you to you're basically going net neutral by shielding yourself an extra life. That extra life, if you end up taking, obviously it's technically a draw, so you're not really drawing anymore. But you also have to get your opponent to the backside, right? And depending on what they're playing on board, it does make it a little more difficult to get through some of these cards. Now there's just kind of like the generic Zamasu build that you can do, but there also is the Batora type of combinations that you can do as well. So obviously Shin here can search up any Batora card, which includes this Fused Zamasu card here that I was showing you, but also like all of the Vegito cards. And in the future, if we receive any more Vegito cards, which I'm sure we will, as well as Fused Zamasu cards, this card will allow you to search those cards out. So that's going to be pretty interesting. It's currently not gaining a lot of value right now in this current meta, but this is a card as a promo. I mean, there's a normal one obviously, but I would probably make sure you have a playset of this card if you are playing blue, because there will be probably a point where we will get a blue Vegito leader, and then this card will be pretty good. Unless they release another 1-drop cantrip, which they normally do with each archetypes. Then we have Blades of Judgment. So this is an interesting one. So this is probably played in, I would say, a lot of the Zamasus I've played online play this card. So activate main or battle, you can use this to search 1 Supreme Kai trait card in the top 5. So it's any Supreme Kai trait card. So obviously the 1-drop here you can search, but you also can search both of these cards because they are both Supreme Kais. If you think of lore-wise, they technically are Supreme Kais. So you actually can search out a lot of the Zamasu cards as well. So this gives you another searcher along with your 1-drop that searches Goku Blacks, or even the Shin, just to kind of cycle through your deck a little bit more. Now the big part of Zamasu is going to be the board clearing deck, ability. So both of these cards can obviously be played in any blue deck, but because this deck really wants to go into the late game, both of these cards are suitable for board clearing and just kind of reestablishing dominance basically after your opponent kind of goes really wide. So Zeno will clear all other battle cards on board other than this card, and it bottom decks them, which is the best part. Obviously this card is a 10k too, so this makes it really susceptible to being a 4 of in most decks. And then you have the 6-cost Fused Zamasu, which is a little, I would say it's not as good as the Zeno. When your opponent plays a battle card, if your life is at 1, you choose all of your opponent's battle cards or turn them into the owner's hand. So why this is good is that your opponent plays anything. This card is basically going to return that card and all of your other cards to your opponent's hand, and this is a 40k critical. So there's not a lot of cards that can remove a 40k. It's a big card, and basically anything that you're going to play is just going to get bounced back to your hand anyways. Now you have to deal with a 40k crit. So this is going to be another very good card against green. Probably not so much against red, because red's going to be able to try to, attempt to aggro you down, and even yellow. In the blue mirror matches, probably Zeno's going to be better, but into green, I think the Zamasu will find itself being used, and hopefully if we end up getting a a side deck at some point, this might be a very good side deck card for blue decks. Which brings us to our last leader, which is going to be, in my opinion, the best blue leader, and I think most people, kind of the generic blue deck here, which is going to be Vegeta. Becoming a 35k for free is very good. This allows you to play into any of the green decks and feel pretty safe, being able to just swing over things, and then just being able to just clear, big battle cards, right, for no cards in hand. This is even if you even decide to commit cards to it, you're already 35k. The one knock on Vegeta has always been his hand requirement. A lot of his effects, including his leader effect, as you can see, require you to have 7 cards in your hand. So you don't really get to build a huge hand, or you have to play out a lot of stuff and then use your effects. So it's got some weird sequencing things you have to kind of follow. One of those really good cards is Gallic Gun. Obviously, any blue deck has access to Gallic Gun, but this just being a cantrip that's also a 15k combo, and since it kind of matches your leader effect, it's very good, obviously, to play in this deck. Very powerful effect. Being able to go to, 50k for 1 energy, and drawing 2 cards on your leader swing is pretty good, I would say. And then also, again, on defense, being able to go to 35k and draw a card, this is definitely going to be a 4 of, and probably in most Vegeta decks until we get something that's a little bit better. Now, this deck can play a lot of different things. One card that it can play due to its effect being locked to Vegeta is going to be this 3-drop Gotenks, where you can return it to its hand, and then you can play up to 1 of these 4-drop Gotenks here. Now, you actually don't have to play the Gotenks. You can use the Gotenks, swing at something, and then bounce it back to hand, and then not play a Gotenks if you don't have it, or you don't have the requirements to get the effect off, which is 7 or fewer cards in hand. You get to add a Goten and a Trunks from your drop that costs 4 or less. So you can technically use the Gotenks, swing with it, bounce it, and then play a 4-drop, even though it plays in rest mode. Then you get to draw 2 cards off of it as well. So this combination is pretty good. Both of these cards just individually are going to be very good, and you probably played these already in your Vegeta decks, but if you didn't know, this is just a very good combination you can run. It's very simple, and both of these cards have combo power, which makes them pretty suitable. Which brings us to the Bulma combination, which I think is this is a combination obviously that they added in set 2. So the 1-drop Bulma is very similar to the Haru Trunks card that we just showed off, which gives your leader 10k if it's a Trunks. Well, this one is if you have 7 or few cards in hand, and you give one of your Vegeta cards 10k for the turn, which includes your leader. Also, as a 10k itself, so this is a 1 energy 20k combo, which is very good. But the Vegeta here can actually play out this Bulma from your hand. So you play out the Bulma, then if you have 7 or fewer cards in hand, this card and your leader get 5k for the turn. So this actually allows you to pressure with a 40k leader swing that bumps itself to 50 because of the Bulma, and then this card bumps itself to 35. So that's really good. You get 2 huge swings for 4 energy, and that's a very good combination. The only problem with Vegeta is it is a 0k, so you do have to kind of balance that out. Blue doesn't have a ton of 0ks that they're going to play, because their deck's going to be filled with extra cards and some other stuff. But the 0ks don't. They are pretty bad sometimes, so you kind of have to limit what you're going to be playing. You can't just run a 4 of this card, at least right now. Maybe until we get some better Bulma cards. You could probably, I think there's 2 Bulma cards that work with this very well. One is this Bulma here. The other one is the Bulma that reduces a extra card by 1. I didn't include that card in here because I felt like this Bulma was just overall just better. But that one also is an option as well. So then for some cards that I do think that every blue deck should be playing in some capacity, this is a pretty obvious one, which is 3-drop Vegito. Reducing all cards on board by 1 allows your extra cards, I think it's Divine Judgment or Divine Lightning, whatever that card's called, that bottom decks 1 card of any cost, or Scythe or Sickle that can bottom deck 2 4 costs, so you can actually hit 5 costs with that. This card is just overall just an insane value for blue decks. Most blue decks play a full playset of this, regardless of what leader they are playing. And also bottom deck's a 1 cost on play, which technically bottom deck's a 2 cost since you get to reduce its cost. So very good card. You're going to be running 4 of it for a very long time, at least until we get some better 3 drops. But this kind of fills the same role for yellow as like the Ginyu card, or green as Vegeta. It kind of fits that similar style of this is just generic and just good in every single deck. Next one is going to be the 4-drop Son Goku. This card is not good, obviously, if you're playing like a heavy Zamasu build where you don't have the actual Saiyans to use it for. But being able to discard 3 Saiyans and then turn this card into a dual attacker that also can now swing 55k is very good. This is a very good one-of. This is just a good boss monster to have. It's 30k swing on one side, 55k swing on the other side. You are having to discard 3 cards from hands. This is kind of like an in-game card, but 55 is still a big number to get rid of. I think it's probably worth at least testing out and see if you enjoy playing this card. And last but not least is going to be the Vegito SCR, 5-drop 30k, 5k, and 5k combo, and then being able to return a 5 or less to hand is pretty good. Also, just being a dual attacker for 30k is very good. For 5 energy, this seems a little much. This probably could have been 4 energy and it would have been much better. 5 energy is pretty expensive. However, this is a secret rare that is 5k combo, so this is a very big card you can play and not have to worry about having multiple 0ks in hand. Does a lot of damage, swings twice, removes something on board. It's pretty solid. I would say it's definitely something to run in almost any blue deck. So what is your choice for your best or favorite blue deck in the current format? What will you be playing for any of your locals, or if you're going to any of the big events, including Gen Con? What is something that you guys are looking forward to playing? Let me know down below in the comments. As well as if you did enjoy the video, make sure you guys like and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video. Yerp.